Welcome to the gray area. Rex Jones and Tim Thompkins. We're joined by a special guest today, the one and only Owen Shroyer. Welcome to the gray area.
Feels like we're all in the gray area right now, Rex,
Yeah.
with everything that's going on. It's hard to figure out what's black and white.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we watched your video today that you put out. It's very rare, like hardly ever in like the decade that I knew you when we worked together. I've really never seen you miss a show or miss a broadcast, but it is just all too much to take in at this point.
Yeah, I rarely ever miss a show. I rarely ever miss a broadcast going back to when I first started broadcasting professionally at the age of 21. So we're talking about 15 years, and there's probably 5 times maybe that I've missed a broadcast. And today was a little different. There was no reason, like there was no, like I know one time I had a family deal, maybe another time I've been sick, whatever. It was nothing like that. I'm sitting at my desk. It's about 2:00, and that's when I usually go through my final aggregation phase. So it's like total aggregation, and then 2:00, you got, okay, what can I do in 3 hours? What do I want to prioritize? And then you kind of filter the rest out, and I go with what I'm going to present on the show. And I'm sitting there, and it's just like I'm starting the process, and it's literally just death, destruction, division, hate, death, destruction, division, hate. And I'm like, I just can't do this today. I can't do it today. And, it's funny because, my producer, DMT, he sent me a message this morning, and you guys might know, the bros out there know, it's like when you got a friend that's close like that, it's like your brother from another mother. You're kind of synced up. And he sent me a message. It was just kind of like, I was like, oh, where's that coming from? Just like, hey, power through today, whatever. I was like, man, how did he know that I'm like looking at this news and just sick of it? So I called him. I was like, what do you think I should do? I can do the show. I've got the show prepared. And he was like, look, you got to make a decision. But if you think it's best not to do the show today, then you should just not do the show today. I said, okay. So I shot that video, and I know I made the right decision. And it's even nice that I'm on here with you guys now because I don't have to host the show. But I know I made the right decision because after I posted that video, I got so much incoming. And every day after you do a show, you usually get some incoming. Something you said sparked somebody's interest or a news story, whatever. There's always incoming after you do a live show. I didn't do the live show today. I shot that video, and I had most incoming I think I've had from a show this year. I mean, dozens of messages, dozens of DMs. People are saying, we totally resonate with you. Like, you're spot on, whatever. So everybody's kind of feeling it. And that was kind of confirmation, like, yeah, that was the message today. People don't need to see the death and destruction today. They don't need to see the hatred and division today. So I know I made the right decision based off of all the positive feedback. And I'm going to get into it tomorrow. But, I think as I explained in the video, and Rex, you were saying the same thing to me earlier, and Tim, I think I saw you posted on X as well. We can't tell. We're trying to decide. This is the gray area, right? Talk about the theme of the show.
Sure.
We're trying to decide if this is really worse than it's ever been. Like, is this really as bad as it's ever been, or does it just feel that way because we had such high hopes for this Trump administration? We went through so much to get here. I mean, we went through so much to get here, and now it feels like we've been totally betrayed, to put it simply. So it's like, is it really that bad? Is it really worse than it's ever been, or does it just kind of feel that way because of the betrayal and because of all the work it took to get here? But regardless, the result is the same. All I see is death and destruction and hatred and division, and it's not who I am. It's not what I want to do with my show. I can't help. I have to cover the news. But I felt today the message was, it's like, hey, this is ridiculous. Like, something is wrong right here. And then I don't know if you saw this, but Trump put out a video, or I guess it was after the Massey rally, and he's in Cincinnati, or the anti-Massey rally. I mean, Trump is straight up doing North Korean level propaganda now.
Yes.
He goes, honestly, I mean, Kim Jong-un is blushing. He goes in front of the media and he says how successful the war has been. He says he's had the best presidency in the history of the country. He says the economy's better than it's ever been. What is he going to say next? He shot 18 on 18 holes of golf. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Who does he think he's fooling? Like, who does he think he's fooling with this ridiculous propaganda. And every time he does it, it's like whatever hope is left, it just keeps dwindling. And you're like, my God, we're almost at rock bottom with this administration now.
Don't you feel a little bit like you just you went back in time into like 2022 during like Biden and all the crazy stuff he was doing with Ukraine and the things that was happening with the immigration? Like a lot of the things that I'm seeing now is that they're even going back on the illegal immigration situation. Like the actual numbers are significantly less than what they should be, right?
Well, I feel like we're back in like 2000, like in the Bush years or something. I think we're going farther back than that. I know you guys are a lot younger, but it really feels like the GOP, the Republican Party, the conservative movement, it feels like it just went back 20 years, honestly. It feels like Trump just set it back 20 years. We'll see what the final outcome of it all is. And here's, look, I'm okay with political differences. I don't expect to exist in a cult. I expect people to have different politics that I have, and so that's fine. I don't like liars. I don't like deceivers, and there seems to be a lot of that on the right. So I think what you're kind of getting at, which I think we're all experiencing a little bit, is I guess we would call it the MAGA cult, the MAGA right, whatever this wing of right-wing politics is now. They've basically reverted. They are essentially the woke left. I mean, they're putting people on lists. They're calling for censorship. They're trying to destroy your life. Free Iran. Okay, Black Lives Matter. It's the same stuff. It's literally the same propaganda, just for different tastes, for different sides of the aisle. So I would ask MAGA this, because I don't take anything in politics personally. I think feeling a little heartbreak or betrayal is natural after everything we went through to get here. But I don't take anything in politics personally. So getting betrayed by a politician, getting lied to by a politician, like, okay, whatever, the sun comes up. What is really, I think, worse is watching what MAGA has turned into. And, Rex, you were there with us at the grassroots level of this. We've been in the streets together. I was one of the first people in the media to come out in support of Trump when he came down the elevator. And so it's like we've got to this point. And now all of these people that are basically living off the movement that we created, it's like they're wearing our movement as like a skin suit, as like an avatar. And all it is to them is a business model. All it is to them is a grift. All it is to them is like a popularity contest in high school where they've never sat at the cool kids table. And now they feel like, oh, we're running the cool kids table. And you're like, what are you doing here? This was our movement. You guys have just completely destroyed it. But aside from that, here's what I would like to see from whatever's left of MAGA. And I doubt they'd be able to commit to any of this because I think they know. I think they know they've been fooled. I think they know they're unpopular, and you kind of see them crashing out right now. But I'd like to say this. For me, the line has already been crossed. So I'm already out, all right? I mean, just look at the situation in Iran. I wanted zero war with Iran. I wanted zero Iran strikes. I wanted zero dead American soldiers. I wanted $0 spent on a war in Iran. So that was already crossed for me. I knew my red lines already crossed for me. That's just one situation. So I would ask whatever's left of MAGA, I'd say, do you have any red lines? Is there any line where you will say, if Trump does this, I will be upset? Or are you just full-blown cult right here? Are you just full-blown cult cuck mindset that no matter what Trump does, you're going to celebrate it? Because he's pretty much betrayed every campaign promise. So I would say, for MAGA, I would say, okay, what about boots on the ground? Will you be upset if there's boots on the ground? New poll came out, 74% of Americans don't want boots on the ground. Let's go crazy. What if Trump drops a nuke? Would you be okay with that? How many dead soldiers? What if there's 100 dead soldiers? They just hit a refueling plane that there's usually 6 people on that. Did they survive? They just did another medical evacuation of Saudi Arabia. Apparently dozens of U.S. soldiers are injured. So it's like, MAGA, okay, where are your lines in the sand? Do you have any? Do you have any lines in the sand? And if so, what are they? And if Trump crosses these lines, will you dare say something? Or are you guys are you just glued into the chair? Are you just chair maxing right now? Total cuck mindset, total cult mindset, or do you have any boundaries? Do you have any red lines? And so I doubt they'd be willing to commit. But I think what we've learned is this happens every time in right-wing politics. It's like cyclical. And that's why people like Nick Fuentes are kind of turned into this accelerationist mindset or just burn it to the ground mindset, because this happens every time. Republican politics get unpopular. populism and nationalism takes over the body politic of the right, of the GOP. It gives us election victories. We get into power, and then the establishment steals everything from us. And then the establishment takes our movement, turns it into neocons, turns it into warmongers, the same crap we've been dealing with. They just did it with Trump. And so now we're sitting here and we're saying, not again. Not again. The entire right-wing Republican GOP establishment has to be completely removed from the picture altogether. Otherwise, we're going to win these victories, and then when we actually get in power, nothing happens that we want to happen.
I think what they've realized, like the establishment people in the GOP, Trump, whatever, his handlers, whatever, I think they've realized is that they can marry the crazy evangelical Christians and crazy Christian Zionists that truly do believe in the message, the mission, the lighting the signal fire to bring Jesus back in World War III, the apocalypse in the Middle East. And they can unite the grifters, the people trying to make the money, the people in the game, people, making that AdSense cash. They can connect those groups together where you have a group that truly believes in it too much and then a group that doesn't believe in anything at all. And bing, bang, boom, that's your new base. And I think as long as they can extract money out of people, they don't even care about the midterms. I think Trump has realized, and I think that the Israelis have realized that this is their time to strike. This is their time to make the money, to do the deals, to do the wars, to do the invasions, because it's like I've heard you talk about many times, in 10 years, there's not going to be a political consciousness that supports this in the country. So now is the time.
You're 100% right on that. And you know what I'm also seeing outside of Iran is like now they're kind of coming out with like new quote unquote evidence and people who are witnesses that say Trump is not part of the Epstein files and none of it's true. Do you know how many people slid into like my DMs or just like people in general just criticizing? They're like, see, you were wrong. You were wrong. Not my Trump. Not my President Trump. Not my president. And it's like, you guys are drinking the Kool-Aid that hard. Like that's how much you love that man that like, you can't even say there's an ounce of truth to what was being said. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think the Epstein files are being used to blackmail Trump. I don't know to what degree Trump is guilty of whatever he's guilty of, but I think if you look at the patterns and the trend that really have been going on for almost a year now, when they first started kind of doing the drip, drip, drip Epstein stuff to the media, I think there was a New Yorker story. There were some other stories. Oh, Trump wrote a letter. Oh, Trump signed a picture. And it was kind of just like, oh, spontaneously, this drip, drip, drip Epstein Trump stuff. And then what happened? All of a sudden, he started looking at Iran. All of a sudden, he started talking about striking Iran. And then he did strike Iran. And then, all of a sudden, the Epstein stuff went away. And now we're back here. He's forced to sign the Epstein Transparency Act. He had to do it. So he signs it. We're supposed to get all the Epstein files. We don't. The rumors were, and I don't even think it's necessarily, I would understand if they would say, okay, we have to redact Trump's name from the files for national security concerns. Like, I don't like that, but it's like, to a certain degree, you kind of understand the measurement, right? So let's assume that is fair and what was happening. Well, guess what? Trump's name was all over the Epstein files. His name was up one side and down the other. I'm not saying he's guilty of anything, but to deny that he was in there as much as anybody is just being dishonest. So then what happens? So they don't redact Trump's name, and now we're going back into Iran. Now we're striking Iran again. And then what happens? The DOJ pulls the files back and removes all the files with Trump's name in them. So it's like, is this just a public blackmail campaign? Many people have reached the same conclusion. I think this is a public blackmail campaign. I wonder what they really have on Trump. I don't even think, whatever it is that's happening here, I don't even think we've seen it. Whatever it is that they're using to pull the strings.
Excellent point.
I don't even think we've seen it. I think these are all just the warning shots of like, here's what's going to happen. That or Trump just sold us out. I don't really see any other option at this point. It's like Trump either needs our help because he's being blackmailed, or he's just decided to sell us out. Like what you said earlier, Tim, they've just had the realization that they have a finite amount of time to do all of these things they've been trying to do for years. It's the boomers' last gasp. Israel has, 5% air left in the tank of America that's kept them afloat. And so they're just going for broke right now, and they're using Trump to do it. But
this makes me nervous. Oh, and this makes me terrified because let's say, okay, Democrats win the primaries. Not primaries. They win the midterms, right? Then you've got 2028. Gavin Newsom's like the poster child.
He's coming.
He's coming, right? And if I see how he ran California, I don't want that for the rest of the United States. So like I'm feeling we got a super chat. Thank you for the super chat, whoever that was. It's very hard to read that in the bottom right corner. Okay, we got
massive respect to Owen and Rex and Tim from Moshmiri. Thank you very much. And we're still new. We're only like 56 episodes into doing the show. We're figuring out how to make it all vibe and work together. A seasoned professional like Owen waits to read the super chats. We always do because we really appreciate it.
Well, you guys got a little dinger there. The dinger threw Tim off. He was like, "What?"
Yeah,
where are you at?
I gotta figure that out. No, what I was saying, like, it's even more terrifying to think that like Gavin Newsom would come into play because I was a Democrat. I lived in New York. I was a Yankee for a very long time, and then when I saw all of like the transgenderism, I saw all of the chaos with just opening the borders and just letting anybody in. I'm boosted up. They forced me to take the vaccine and the booster. So like for me, I don't have a lot of trust on the left. And they're more united, right? So let's say they win midterms and they win the next presidency. What does America become then, right?
Yeah. Well, my concern is I just hope they leave us something. I hope they leave us something when the boomers are finally, their political run is finally done. I just hope we have some country left to save, just some semblance of a country, a culture, borders, language, culture, just something for us to try to redeem America. So that's my concern. I think at this point, it's probably too early to tell, but I would say it's a pretty high odd that the Democrats are going to take the House, Senate might be in play, and then I think 2028 is in the Democrats' favor as well. And what's wild about this is you see the MAGA cultists pointing the finger at everybody but themselves. They want to blame Fuentes, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, myself, whoever, and it's like. First of all, it's flattering that you think any of us would have more influence than Trump, but okay. No, this is because the GOP doesn't deliver results. This is because the Trump administration has betrayed probably about 30%, 40% of its base just feels completely betrayed. So that's why the Democrats are probably set to win in 2 straight election cycles. It has nothing to do with independent media maybe breaking from MAGA, breaking from Trump. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with Trump, the administration, and the GOP not getting results.
That's right.
And so that denial, that living denial is going to send right-wing politics into some sort of a weird tailspin after the midterms that is going to be really ugly and really nasty. You kind of see Trump is even wading into those waters now as well, which is very uncouth and not charismatic. But it seems like that's where it's going. And I see the Democrats impeaching him. This time they probably have legitimate reasons to. It won't be like a hoax in the first administration. The bombing of the boats, the bombing of the school, whatever. They'll find real reasons to do it. The tariffs, I don't know, something. And it's going to be a nasty ride. I think it's going to be a nasty ride. As far as what Newsom does when he gets in, or if he gets in, or any Democrat gets in, I think you got a good taste. I think you got a good taste from New York. I think you got a good taste from California. I don't know if it would be that bad, but I think that's the direction they would probably go.
Money.
We got
Anonymous donated $5. Owen needed a day off, but I found him on Gray Area.
Yes, you did find him on Gray Area. I was going to ask you this question, Owen, because I often talk about this a lot with Tim or just solo by myself. What does the post-Trump era of politics look like in America? Because for more than a decade, people have been obsessed with this guy, following this guy. Like, love or hate him, no one's indifferent about Trump, right, to this very day. But you look at someone like a Vance or someone like a Rubio that's associated with this toxic, evil, betrayal administration, and they're supposed to run in a primary, and everyone's going to be like, I'm behind Rubio, I'm behind Vance. They want to run Vance off of just pure name value association with Trump, and they want to run Rubio as kind of a new Hispanic Obama. At least that's how I see it. I see it as like they're a new Jeb Bush, right? And then someone's going to come on that field, whether it's Massey or someone else. I tend to think that it's going to be someone we haven't even thought of yet or haven't even considered. What do you think that looks like just for their political prospects in the post-Trump world?
I tend to agree. I think that I personally don't think I could vote for anybody that's part of this administration. Maybe my mind will be changed when we get to that point. But right now, I don't see anybody from this administration being electable. I think the stench of the current status of the Trump administration will stick with whoever decides to run for president outside of it. And look, if we're being fair, let's consider one thing. We just finished the first quarter of this administration. So let's be honest, but let's be fair. The first quarter, we got trounced. The first quarter, MAGA, America first, America's interest, American people, we just got our asses kicked. I mean, we got our clock cleaned in the first quarter of this new Trump administration. I mean, we got annihilated. We're in the second quarter now. There's still 3 quarters to go. Maybe there can be some sort of miracle, historic turnaround. So that could potentially redeem members of Trump's administration if they do decide to run in the future. But right now, I don't see any of them being electable. I don't think so. And I think you're right, Rex. I think should they get to that point on that debate stage, there will be someone up there that is going to act like Trump did in 2016 and just go ham and just call them all out. I guess the only concern would be, will they try to gatekeep anybody like that off of the debate podium? That would be the only potential thing I could see them doing. Say if, Thomas Massey or a Marjorie Taylor Greene or a Tucker Carlson, we'll just use those names. If they decided to run, would the GOP let them on the debate stage to make that hay? That would be the only concern I have.
They tried to keep Trump off the debate stage. Yeah. It's a polling thing, right? And the thing is, like, I see a Vance, I see a Rubio polling at like 20, 25, maybe even 30%. But if that other candidate does exist in the primary, if you got someone that's getting 12% of the polling or 12% of the vote, I think that there'll be a real public outcry against the banning of that person. But I think you are right, Tim, that they're going to try to do that.
Well, I mean, look, the reason why MTG turned on, the quote unquote MAGA is because Trump at a specific point was like, look, I'm not going to endorse you for running for Senate.
Sure.
And then she was like, I'm burning it all down. I don't care. That was like her last straw, right? So like, if she doesn't have the support of the GOP in the first place, they don't want to put people on platforms like that. So I think you're right. But my biggest fear here is like, okay, I can't even vote for anybody at this point. That's the whole reason why we started the show, right? I mean, we were
want to fix the world and make things better.
We were like, we're tired of being lied on from both sides. And so now I just have no choice but to stay in the center and just call everybody out on their bullshit. And I have no problem when the next Democrat comes in, I'll be just as critical. But now, me even being critical of Trump, anything that's happening right now, I'm automatically labeled as like a libtard.
That's right.
I'm like, hold on. We can't just say wrong is wrong anymore. And that, when the Democrats were doing this, and if you were to criticize the vaccine, they would call you a commie, Republican and conservative, all these different names that they had. And I'm feeling disingenuous at this point.
Well, that's, I think you meant to say disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised.
That's the woke right. I mean, that's what we're dealing with on the woke right. And I think that our instincts are very similar. My instinct is, it's like I have professional training on how to do a broadcast. So I can put together a show and do a news broadcast. But my instinct, what drives the show, what drives the direction of my coverage is, I call out propaganda. I call out fake narratives, fake news, whatever. I'm trying to lead my audience to the closest version of the truth that I can possibly present to them. So like you said, I don't care what's coming from the left. I don't care what's coming from the right. My natural instincts is to counter propaganda. And the fact of the matter is, all the propaganda right now is coming from the right. Now, granted, the right is in total power. So whatever left-wing propaganda they're spewing, it kind of just falls on deaf ears because it's not landing anywhere. It goes into the abyss and it's just gone. So it's all the right-wingers that are in power that are spewing the propaganda. So people like you, people like me that just don't like being lied to, where are we going to go? We're going to call out the corrupt power on the right and the propaganda they're selling us.
Well, it's the same exact, and you talked about it earlier. It's literally libtard language. You look at any of these people with the Eric Doherty or Nick Swardor, just to name a few, or Cat Turd or Benny Johnson would be better examples.
Benny Johnson.
It's North Korean dear leader style propaganda, is it not, Tim?
Benny Johnson. Yeah. No, you're 100% right about that. And here's the thing. This is why I'm kind of liking Nick Fuentes a lot these days. He just doesn't care. And I think, independent platforms like yourself, Owen, here on the gray area, I think everybody's getting to that point where they realize, it is okay to kind of step out of that box, if you would say. And I wouldn't expect Nick Fuentes to say certain things like he's saying these days.
Well, it's just it's reality, man. It's being able to acknowledge reality, and the reality is like there's nowhere you can go to vote against any of this. It seems, and especially the people that promise you results, the people that promise that they will fix things for you, the people that tell you everything that you want to hear, literally, and not just the generic politician's promise of we're going to lower taxes and make the world better for you, son. Literally, we're going to arrest the PDF files. We're going to stop the neocon wars. He literally goes over to Saudi Arabia, tells all the Gulf countries, no more wars for the neocons in the Middle East.
Yep.
And then us as the voters were like, hell yeah, that's what we wanted. And then, 8 months later, there's a massive war. What do you think about that, Owen?
So I put up a post, and it's becoming more true by the day. After Trump won the election, because I've been through this enough in the political media now. I've been through these election cycles enough. I put out a post that said, okay, Trump won. Now get ready for the craziness. Get ready for the sauce. And the specific quote was, remember what you stand for, not who. Remember what you stand for, not who. And that's how you can, keep the straight and narrow and try not to go crazy and all this stuff. And it's been proven true. You can see the people that are just loyal to a man versus the people that have actual principles and are sticking to the policies. So when you break it down from that perspective, I just don't see any policies. I mean, the one policy success is the border is closed. I mean, that's basically the only policy success. You could also say, and it is true, that crime is down. So I would say, I guess those are the two big policy successes. Crime is down and the border is closed. But, here's my frustration with that. That should be par for the course. I shouldn't be up here begging to have basic law enforcement. I shouldn't be up here begging to not have an illegal invasion of my country. And it feels like somehow this is, celebration worthy when this should just be the basic concept, the basic practice. But nonetheless, I'd say those are the two successes of this administration. But we've had more Iran strikes than deep state arrests. We've had more dead American soldiers than deep state arrests. We're getting nothing from the Epstein files other than questions and, is this a cover-up now? And so the economy's not getting better. We're back into the Middle East. So as far as the issues are concerned, I don't see how anybody can sit here and say that this has been a success on the policy. And it's funny, you brought up some of those names, and some of them I'm willing to be a little more critical of than others because I'm a little closer to the situation maybe than you are. But I will say, for almost all of the characters that you just mentioned, you can almost go back with every single one of them and find a post that is just the complete opposite of what they're saying today.
That's what I'm talking about.
You are right. Yeah. You are right. I'll give you that 100%.
Go ahead.
And that was at the beginning when it was cool to be able to do that. But
cool
now,
anti-war. Now it's not.
Now it's not cool. But one thing that I do want to highlight is I think earlier you were talking about boots on the ground. I don't think the United States and Israel knew what they signed up for. And so now that you got the Strait of Hormuz that's in the situation, there might be a possibility that they might put boots on the ground on the Iranian side in order to stop them from bombing all of these oil tankers and allow supplies to go through because they can't afford a global shock at this point.
And I want to interject really quick because we want Owen's take on this and his opinion to add on to what you just said. Not only are they blockading the Strait of Hormuz, not only are we going to possibly bring people in there to ease the pain domestically so people don't feel it for a couple of weeks, he's announced 180 million or billion or whatever it is barrels of oil from the strategic reserves. And it's just not like Biden. But it's just like Biden, literally like Biden.
But it's not even going to work because it's going to take a year from the estimates for them to even stabilize the amount of loss that's coming out of that region right now. So go ahead. What do you think about that?
Well, let's look at all the different angles of this. The United States gets roughly 5% of its oil that it consumes through the Strait of Hormuz. The global oil consumption, it's about 20%.
Yes.
So these are significant numbers. It shouldn't be as crippling to us. So I think it's more of an excuse than anything else. I think it's send an oil tanker out there, send a ship out there and hope Iran blows it up, or hope the Houthis or Hezbollah blows it up because, hey, this gives us the war that we want. So I think that that's maybe a larger factor than even the oil. It's not to say that 20% or 5% are insignificant when we're talking about energy consumption, but I do think there's a couple factors at play. Now, if you look outside of the Strait, what else is happening? Strategic oil reserves are being released pretty much everywhere. pretty much across the globe, people are tapping into their strategic oil reserves. Some obviously have more than others. Some are in a situation where they're kind of like, how long can we last with this deal? Trump just released sanctions on Russian oil. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is massive. This is basically
total reversal.
Of course he would.
Total, but not just a total reversal. We're essentially in a war with Russia through Ukraine. I mean, we are essentially at war with Russia in Ukraine. We're just, the Ukrainians are the ones dying. We're just the ones paying for it and arming it. But that's essentially our war. And now you've just given Russia a cash cow. Now Russia is, hundreds of millions are pouring into Russia every single day now that these oil sanctions are lifted. So they release some of the strategic petroleum reserves. That's good for like maybe a week. Like that's barely going to dent the market. It'll give them some time. So really all they did was they bought a week or so of time with the strategic oil reserves to try to figure out what the hell they're going to do. I don't think they know. And now they're giving Russia the cash cow of releasing the oil sanctions, and Russia has money pouring in hand over fist right now. So really none of this should be going on. And here's the other issue. When we went into Venezuela, it turns out that whole thing was about oil. Go figure. They lied.
Mm-hmm.
We go into Venezuela. They have oil ready for market, okay? All the oil that was ready for market, you guys know where it went?
Israel.
It went to Israel. All the oil ready for market went to Israel. So literally Israel first. Now, you have Doug Burgum down there last week. He's meeting with Delcy Rodriguez. He's down there talking with the oil executives, and they're saying, we're going to tap into the Venezuelan oil. Here's the problem. It's not ready for market. And not only is it not ready for market, they don't even have the infrastructure. So even if you want to get to that Venezuelan oil, you're like 6 months to a year, really. I mean, realistically, it could be more. Who really knows? You're 6 months to a year from even being able to tap into that Venezuelan oil. The oil ready for market is gone. It's claimed. You're not getting any of that. So you can't even use whatever losses you have because of this war through Venezuela, which was the plan, because the oil is just simply not ready for market. And now you have another situation. So now these oil companies, I mean, nobody would ever accuse the oil companies of being greedy. But now the oil companies are going to sit there. They're going to look at the Trump administration and they're going to say, all right, well, hold on a second. You need us. You are now desperate for us. So here's what we want. We want you to pay for the whole damn thing. If you want us to go into Venezuela and get all of this oil to market, this is the infrastructure we need. You're going to pay for it. And you watch. They're already talking about it. I'd say probably by the end of the month, maybe next month, they'll come out and announce that the U.S. taxpayer is going to subsidize all the oil companies in Venezuela so that they can get the oil to market as fast as possible. So not only is it going to be Trump talking about how the donors are going to make a bunch of money on this oil deal, they're also going to steal a bunch of our money to build the infrastructure because Trump is so desperate to get those prices down. So total mess, total mess. And you know what's frustrating? We probably have alternative energy sources that the government is keeping secret from us. There's all kinds of energy that we could be consuming and using right now. We wouldn't have to rely on oil to the extent that we do, and we just don't do it.
Well, they shut that all down, right? As soon as Trump came in, he's like, anything that has to do with renewable energy, green, get rid of it. But the thing is you talk about Venezuela, but the deeper layer below that is the type of oil, right? Venezuela has primarily heavy crude oil. So that's not even sustainable for all the other types of oil that the world actually needs. So it's not even really a win to have that oil if you think about it. And, you know, if I'm Europe, I'm going home and I'm crying every night.
It's over
because if you think about it, we blew up their pipeline under Biden, right?
Nord Stream.
And then we decide to now choke them the other way. And
a French military base just got hit today.
Ooh, isn't that beautiful? I didn't even know that. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, look, we're the abusive, we're the abusive husband that comes in Europe, and you're like, you like this, and they're like, and they don't even know what to do at this point, right?
Well, but hold on though, Europe, they kind of don't have a choice because they steal all of our money through NATO. So they kind of have to sit there and take the bitch slaps because, you know, we pay for their defense.
I want to come in here.
Go ahead.
I got to come in here. So you were talking about Russia, Ukraine, and now we're kind of in our own Russia, Ukraine. And keep in mind, the goal of the Russia-Ukraine war from our end getting involved, we're like, we're going to deplete their military. We're going to make sure they don't have enough weapons to fight us. We're going to make sure they're not a threat. What is going on in Iran? What is going on in the Middle East right now? We're using all of our munitions. We're having to pull munitions out of Asia. I mean, this is another thing people aren't talking about. South Korea and Japan are pissed.
Of course.
They're pissed off.
They're scared about China.
They've said they're going to re-examine their security agreements because what the hell? You can just pull away the missile defense whenever you want it. So it's just a moment where I think America has finally, it's like the emperor with no clothes, right? And the tailor is really the state of Israel and the other foreign nations that rob us. And America's like the emperor, and we're wearing all the clothes. We got the gold, we got the drip. And over time, it's been taken. And what they give us is invisible. It's promises. It's the alliance that we have and all the things as things get worse and as the American people suffer. And now we've traded away our underwear. We're walking down the street.
I got a question for you, Owen, in conjunction with what he just said. We also had the Pentagon that asked for an additional $50 billion. With what he just talked about with the munitions moving around, as well as that $15 billion, like, what's your standpoint on that?
Well, I think that our allies are going to start looking at us a little differently, and to go a little further into what you were insinuating, Rex, I think Trump betrayed the whole world. I don't think it's just the MAGA Trump support base in America that feels betrayed. I think everyone feels betrayed, quite frankly, except obviously Netanyahu. He's getting a reach around every night and a rim job. But it seems like the rest of the world and Trump's voter base feels totally betrayed by Trump. I think the Gulf nation states feel betrayed by Trump. They're still kind of not sure how to handle it. I think South Korea, Japan. Now, as far as the real threat to them is concerned, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. But I think it's more of an attitude thing. I think it's more of a, hey, hold on a second. We're not bombing 7 different countries, right? Israel created its own problems. Israel created its own enemies. South Korea's not attacking North Korea. Japan's not attacking China or getting involved in Taiwan or the South Asia Sea or anything. None of that's happening. They're just there minding their own business, trying to take care of their people, doing pretty well. And here Trump comes in and he's like, oh, by the way, fuck you too. Sorry, fuck you guys too. So I think it's a measurement of the total betrayal of the whole planet, and it's all in support. It's all in favor. It's all directed towards one entity, and that's Israel in the Middle East. Now, the other issue with that is what is our capacity really like right now with the military? I don't think we know. If you listen to what Trump says, he's obviously airing confidence. He's obviously airing, we have no problems right now as far as capacity is concerned. And I bet they have some big heavy artillery stuff that they can use. But as far as like light munitions and missiles and stuff, I'm not so sure. Everything we've spent in the Israel war, everything we've sent to Ukraine, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that we have what is necessary to fight this war on Israel's behalf in Iran for much longer without getting out the big bombs, without getting out the heavy stuff that just is total annihilation stuff. So, yeah, that's another issue. Oh, we're pulling the THAAD systems out in South Korea. Is that the signal that, hey, we actually don't have the capacity for this war? And here's the important thing to understand. They either underestimated this stuff or they just took a shot. But the truth is, they have failed at every level of this war. Yes. The first level was we'll bomb Fordo and we'll say we obliterated their nuclear. They won't be able to have nukes for years. That's what Trump said. Well, a year later, they're once again days away from a nuke. Now they're saying they were going to have 10 bombs by next month. So they just make this stuff up. So they're obviously lying. But regardless, that was the first phase. Bomb the nuclear capabilities and say we're done. Israel wasn't pleased. So then came the second phase. They sent in the CIA. They sent in the Mossad insurgency groups. They armed them, and they tried to have a color revolution on the ground. And this is when you had the whole protesters getting killed thing. Who knows what really happened with that? I'm not claiming to. But that's where that whole thing develops, was Mossad, CIA, insurgent groups, proxy groups, went in there, tried to arm up Iranian revolutionaries and overthrow the government. That failed, and I guess ended up getting a bunch of Iranians killed. So then they drew back again. So then they said, all right, let's kill the entire leadership in Iran. Let's just wipe them all out, 50 of them. So then they start bombing. thousands of bombs. They kill Khamenei. They kill all the other leaders. They kill 50 leaders. And then what do they say? They say, all right, we killed your leadership. Now go take your country back. Iranians, we killed the leadership. Go take your country back. They didn't do it. All they did was unite the country against the United States and Israel. So strike one, obliterating the nuclear facilities. Strike two, trying to start a ground revolution in the streets of Iran. Strike three, killing their entire leadership. And then trying to get the Iranians to take the government. It didn't work. You might even say strike four. I guess the baseball analogy fails now, but they tried to get the Kurds. They said, hey, Kurds, we'll arm you guys again. We'll fund you guys again. You go. And the Kurds said, no, thanks. We're not interested. So what are they going to do next? All of their options are now off the table. They've failed at every step of this. That's why I think they're either going to do one or two things, or maybe eventually both. I think they're either going to have to retreat and stop, and they'll just declare victory, by the way. That's what they'll do. They'll say, oh, we won. It was a total victory. And the MAGA hats will kick their legs up high in the air and, ask Trump if he needs his balls washed or something. And they'll say, oh, yeah, huge victory. And then they'll probably restart everything in the summer, is my guess, kind of recalibrate and restart a new operation in the summer. They have to do this all before midterms. That's the window of time. They know they have to do this before midterms because it's not looking good for Republicans. Democrats get in, Trump's impeached, the whole thing's ruined. So they have to do all of this before midterms. My other concern is, and people talk about nuclear bombs, whatever, don't put a name on it. Will they drop the big one? Will they drop? Trump says, we've got bombs you've never seen, a total annihilation. So is that going to be their final line? Are they going to drop a bomb? Are we going to watch a bomb go off the likes of which no one's ever seen?
Hold on a minute, Tim. It doesn't sound like our guest is very grateful for the peace president. And we have a problem with that.
That is our president.
That's right. And we got a big problem with that on the show because they've done so many great things for us, like get us into this war and whatnot. That's a thing that I want to ask you about. They tell us, you just listed this horrible situation that we're in, and the arrogance, the hubris of thinking that we can quickly get out of it somehow, even if we declare victory and walk away.
Well, it's a sunk cost fallacy at this point.
Sure.
We have no option but to continue going
But
forward.
my thing is, they tell you that you have to be grateful for it. And isn't that the final insult? Because the foreign policy is so macabre and so insane and so grotesque that we look at it, and it's like you said, hey, I'm just taking a break from doing the show today to recalibrate because it's all too much. It's not enough that it's happening. They don't even not tell you about it. They tell you that it's happening. They release hype edits of it. People doing football sacks and touchdowns.
The Wii Sports.
Yeah, the Wii.
I enjoyed that one today, right?
Why don't you like your Goyslop, Rex? I don't get it. We try to make it fun for you. You like football. We do a little football. You like Pokemon. I think they call it Pokemon. We do a little Pokemon. And you're just never happy. We tried the Wii Sports. I called BB. I said, what does Rex like? He said, I think he likes Wii Tennis. And you're not even happy with the Wii Tennis. I don't know what to do. I don't know what we can do for you. We're giving you the best Goyslop you've ever seen, and you won't eat it.
Well, look, I rival you now. Do you see?
Look how beautiful.
True. It's the best propaganda like you've never seen before. I'm the peace president. Can you believe people buy that?
Look at this. We've got the World Cup coming, and we just killed 200 Iranian schoolgirls, blew them up, double tap. You saw their arms and legs flying everywhere like this. And you know what, though? They're not allowed at the World Cup, okay? They're the bad guys here. Iran banned from the World Cup. You don't belong. Only us bombing you. We're the ones that belong here, okay?
Yeah, so we're at war, right? We're at war. It's true. People are saying it. I've said it's not a war, but I've also said it's a war. The Israelis, they hit the oil infrastructure after we told them not to. I say, why did you do that, BB? And he says, shut up. He says, shut up to me. And I say, okay, that's my answer for today. I mean, yeah, we've ascended.
Oh, I'm missing mine.
Why aren't you eating your Goyslop, Americans?
Hold on. Give me a second, T-Blood. I'm coming in.
Yeah.
Do we have one more?
Yeah, well, he's the military wing. He's the guy.
Sir.
We're sending him off. We're sending him off to battle.
I'm ready to be out there, sir. Send me to the front lines.
Are you ready to die for foreign and special interests, Tim?
We're sending you.
You're a good American.
We're sending you on a mission. They made a movie about it. It was called Suicide Squad. Very good movie. I'm a big fan of Suicide Squad.
Feed me my daily Goyslop, sir.
Yeah, you got it. We're gonna give you a nice lobster dinner before you go die for foreign and special interest in a desert in the Middle East again. This time it'll be a mountain. Are you okay with dying on a mountain, Tim?
Yes, sir. Anything for my president, sir.
A big, beautiful mountain. Mountains like you've never seen before. The whole country is surrounded by
You've
mountains.
never seen mountains like this. Let me tell you, while you're taking your final dying breath for dying for foreign and special interests, that last breath, be sure to enjoy the view. It's going to be nice. It's going to be a nice final view for you. Congratulations. You're welcome.
And people are saying that we should make you pay for the view. I say give it to the soldiers for free. All right, that's fun.
Love
It's fun. We have fun.
Oh man, we have fun on the show,
Little
guys.
levity. You have to. It's so dark what's going on right now, man.
See,
that was fun.
I didn't expect him to have the Trump wig. So
You got to have it ready to go. You know, when a Trump impression happens, you have to be ready to go.
Wow.
yeah, I mean, so I was trying to say earlier. So this whole sunk cost fallacy, you were asking like, where does this go? How far? I think they go all the way. Like, I don't think they nuke people. That's just not an option. I mean, when you say big bomb, if civilians start getting killed, like the schoolgirls, they can get away with that, unfortunately, right? Because it's not a big enough number, right? But as soon as you start killing them by the thousands, similar to what you did in Gaza, you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands. And it's America.
I think it's already happening, Tim. I think it's already happening.
I mean, look at that oil depot.
But wouldn't Iran be putting that and posting that all out on the news right now? If
You would think, but consider a couple things. People are getting arrested for filming war damage right now. That is happening in the Middle East and the Gulf nation states. And the other thing is, there's clearly some level of blackout between Iranian media and us. And I don't know if there's probably many different barriers, language barriers, social media barriers, whatever. But here's kind of what I lean on that tells me that there's clearly some barrier between information. They make these ridiculous claims. The number's always changing. It's been 2,000 protesters killed, 50,000 protesters killed, whatever. They make these claims. Who's seen any real evidence of that? Who's seen any real footage or evidence of that? I've seen none. I've seen a couple stills where they claim it's a bunch of body bags, like 2 or 3 images that they're sending around. Where is the video? Where are the videos? Where is the outrage? It's just, I don't see it anywhere. So I think
didn't Iran shut down their internet? Like they're still in a blackout. Yeah, true. Like that's
it's hard to tell. It's so hard to tell. And that's why I don't get too much into like actual on the ground information, because it is so hard to tell. It's hard to tell what's true. It's hard to tell what's new, what's old. So I don't know. I'm not clear. I'm not clear on the ground situation in Iran.
This is a point about it being a global war. So when that initial attempted insurgency happened, revolution, rebellion, whatever you want to call it, the CIA, Mossad reportedly, they admitted to having people on the ground helping organize it. The Iranians put out a bunch of videos of like jammed Starlinks that they had captured. And who taught them how to do that? The Russians. And where did the Russians learn how to do that? In Ukraine. And why did they learn how to do that? Because we were using it against them. So this is World War III, even if it is rumblings of it, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Tim?
I think you're right. I mean, it's very proxy-like at the beginning because you had Ukraine and Russia, and then technically North Korea got involved, which is a direct intervention. But now that you've got Israel you've got Israel and America that's involved. Here's the thing. I don't know if it goes quite to the level of World War III quite yet, because China's sitting in the sidelines right now. They know better. I mean, they're winning by default. They are winning by default. They're letting the big angry monster tire itself out. And then when we've had enough of it, they're just slowly siphoning power, and not in a military sense. They want it economically. They're on a whole nother level in terms of mindset. They wrote The Art of War. They know exactly that this war isn't a game of like brute force. It's purely strategical, in which you have to capture the economic system as a whole. So now you've got Canada making deals with China. Now you've got European countries making deals with China, which I would have never thought that would have happened in a million years. And now even India, who was supposed to counter China as the manufacturing hub for America, is now partnering with China. So look, at the end of the day, like we are silently seeing our decline.
And we talk about Russia and India a lot on the show. I talk a lot about Russia. Tim talks a lot about India. And here's the thing, like, people have opinions on these countries. They hate the Russians. They go, communist, red, Soviet, and they hate the Indians as well. But ultimately, we need to have partners around the globe to work with us if we're not going to work with freaking China. So where are the partners in Europe? Are they in South America? Are they in Israel? They don't have manufacturing. They don't have the logistical support that those other nations do.
Europeans are too busy
But we
vacationing.
spit in the face of everyone that would work with us. And it's just like, and that's the thing you were talking about earlier about the betrayal, not just to Americans, but to the entire world of Trump. I think the Russians especially were really ready to work with him.
Yeah, well, Russia's been trying to work with America post-Cold War. Putin tried to enter NATO and start signing treaties. They were months away from those things happening, and then European countries stepped in and said, no way, we're not going to stop taking NATO money for defense from America and sabotage that. I think, personally, Russia is our greatest natural ally. I think a partnership between America and Russia would be the most formidable, dual-country partnership in the world right now.
Totally.
With landmass and resources and military might, but obviously the establishment wants to keep us away from this. And I think that, the one thing that Americans kind of don't fully grasp, our foreign policy is basically stuck in the Cold War. It's basically like paused in time from the Cold War. And I don't just mean like policy-wise, I mean like actually like practically wise, in that we're sitting here obsessed over like a singular thing, and right now it's Israel in the Middle East. Why is China staying on the sideline? Well, because China has moved their foreign policy into the 21st century, like most other countries on earth, which is you don't need military allies or partnerships. We're not at war 24/7. That's America. America's at war 24/7. China's not at war 24/7. They might have some ideas. They're building islands. They're looking at Taiwan. They're looking at Hong Kong. There's ideas there, but they're not constantly at war 24/7. That's America. That's why we're like stuck in this Cold War era foreign policy where we're just shelling money out 24/7 for these bases, for these foreign countries, for foreign aid. We're just like trapped. We're like paused in this dark ages of foreign policy. Meanwhile, China's just sitting over here like they got their own problems, but they're not losing blood and treasure anywhere. They're not spilling blood and treasure in the Middle East. They're not spilling blood and treasure anywhere else. Their blood and treasure is in China. They're building up China. Not to say they don't have their own problems, but it's like that's where Americans just can't even comprehend how corrupt our foreign policy is. It's outdated. It's stuck in the 20th century. It's draining us. I mean, quite literally draining us. And when you talk about World War III, or the concept, the idea of it, when this thing first popped off, they said, oh, here's the alignments. It's going to be America and Israel, and then NATO and the EU countries versus Iran, Russia, China, and then, maybe India, Pakistan get involved. Obviously, Pakistan, no friend of Israel's. India, friend of Israel's. Maybe they kind of get involved. And I sat back and I said, if you think that's how this is going down, it shows how uninformed you are geopolitically. America will be isolated in this war. America will end up isolated as the only country standing beside Israel. And now we see it. The Gulf nation states, they don't want to get involved. European countries, they're saying no thanks. I mean, even India, Pakistan, they're kind of lobbing munitions out there just through the media, making statements, but they're not really getting physically involved. China, Russia, okay, maybe they're sharing intelligence. They're kind of using this as like a boost to kind of help their own interests and maybe help Iran, whatever, to help themselves. But no, America is 100% isolated in this war with Israel. They're the only country backing Israel. And what's so crazy about it is it's not even popular. The American people don't even want it. So it's really a wild time to be alive. I mean, you hope that this is like the last stand, right? You hope that this is the last stand of disastrous foreign policy. And look, leftists, to their credit, you look at a country like Turkey, you look at a country like Spain, horrible domestic policy. Spain has wide open borders. Turkey, very authoritarian domestic policy. Those are two countries that just have bad, you might say, leftist, authoritarian, leftist, liberal domestic policy. But you look at foreign policy, they've got like the best foreign policy out there, like foreign policy that we wish we had. So you kind of hope if the left does get back into power in America, yeah, we're going to get the domestic policy that's going to open the borders or whatever else, whatever other garbage leftists do when they get into power. But it's like, maybe, just maybe, they'll see how unpopular the foreign policy is. They'll see all of the money that our foreign policy costs us. And maybe they figure, well, since we're open socialists now, instead of spending $1 trillion annually on foreign policy and foreign interests, why don't we do it to actually try to make some of our socialist utopia dreams come to fruition? So if the left does get back into power, maybe something like that happens. That would be the best outcome of all of this that I could see.
Well, I mean, I don't see how you run on anything else, right? I mean,
Exactly.
everyone was pissed off about the Biden era, and now Trump was supposed to be the savior, and now they're seeing, okay, well, he's not the solution either. The next person, whoever comes in, better get with the program, because at the end of the day, people are not going to put up with it. I mean, the first ounce or even the first instance that you see something that feels like a lie, or that you're not keeping your promise, the American people are going to get up in arms about it. I mean, it's very clear. But, you know, I want to talk a little bit about the Russia situation, because you were touching on something that I wanted to kind of highlight. And we just have to look at history. Like, you've got to look at context. At a certain point in the 90s, when the Soviet Union broke apart, right, you had the Russians actually willing to go into this whole world of capitalism. They were like, hey, we want to send your economist, help us get with the program, help us become part of, you know, the Western society. And you know what we did?
We raped them.
We basically created this new thing called shock therapy, where we were like, okay, we've got to get them into capitalism as quickly as possible. Otherwise, they're going to become communists again. So the only way is to sell off all their assets and everything. And then 7 people own all of Russia. And then you have inflation go up significantly. We killed their economy. And then we expect for, you know, Russians to just get along. Like, the Cold War could have ended right then and there, had we actually made the right moves.
And that's why we have such hatred of Putin, is because who kicked those oligarchs out, or you know, at least broke them up? It was Vladimir Putin.
Yes. And I can't even be mad at Putin. Just take it from his standpoint. This is a country that he loves, right? And he was KGB, whatever. He saw the degradation of his country and he wanted to do something about it. But even despite knowing that he got screwed over, and America said, we will not move 1 inch east, and we won't pull any more countries into NATO. And then we pull like 12 more countries after that.
And then they're going for Ukraine.
And Ukraine was the first one.
Our deep state swamp geopolitics loves having a boogeyman. So they always want to keep Russia as that boogeyman, and Europe supports it because of the NATO money laundering operation. And then they like to have the Muslim boogeyman, which is obviously the Israeli interests. So you have European interests that like Russia as the boogeyman to America because they launder money through NATO. And then you have the Israeli interests that like the Muslim boogeyman because they just outright use our blood and treasure for their wars in the Middle East. So that's the problem. That's what we have to break from, I think, quite frankly. I think the American people are ready to break from it. It's just a matter of, can we get somebody in there that's actually going to do it? We thought it was going to be Trump. Obviously, at this point, it doesn't look like it is going to be Trump. I think, like I said, we're in the second quarter here, so there could be a miracle turnaround. But right now, all signs are, yeah, Trump just sold us all out.
What's your ideal scenario?
Yeah, I was about to say, what does the solution look like? Like, let's get white pill for a second, because today obviously has been a dark day, but let's say we get white pill about it. Where do you see life going? Where do you see America going?
Well, let's just talk raw politics. I would say that I think the left gets back into power. I think they win the midterms, and we'll see what happens as far as the impeachment of Trump. You notice that, the deep state doesn't really go after Trump much anymore. I think that's pretty telling. So we'll see what the real interest level with impeachment is if the Democrats really want to go there. But I think the message in the midterms is going to be loud and clear to the Republicans, which is, you guys suck, you betrayed us, and we're not going to vote for you until we get results. And then, whatever you want to do as far as Trump and his administration and the corruption is concerned, we're just going to look the other way. We're going to say, hey, you told us you didn't want us, you betrayed us, so we're done. We fought for you for 8 years. You stabbed us in the back. Enjoy the Democrats now. Enjoy whatever they're going to do to you. We're out. You'd betrayed us, so we're not running to your defense. And let's see if the Mark Levins of the world decide to step up and defend Donald Trump in that moment. I wouldn't bet on it. So then you get to 2028. That'll be just 2 years of total chaos. Most things outside of the political chaos will probably remain the same as far as our lifestyle is concerned, would be my guess. Then you get to 2028. I do think the Democrats win, and then I think you start to see some differences. So best case scenario, like I said, I think we see kind of a more Spain, Turkey, leftist domestic policy. They'll have some authoritarian stuff. Let's hope Trump doesn't give them the keys to the AI surveillance kingdom, but looks like that might happen. So you'll have some authoritarian stuff. You'll have the normal liberal bull crap, but then you might actually get a good foreign policy. I think the Democrats are going to run on the anti-Israel platform in the midterms. I think it's going to be just outright. I think they're just going to run on that platform, and they're going to probably win on it. They'll double down. They'll have victories in 2028. And then I think people will once again look at the wild left, look at the liberal left, look at what they do with the power, look at what they do with liberalism, and then we'll get back to right-wing politics, 2030, let's say, win the midterms, and then you get to 2032, and I think that'll be our next shot to get somebody in there who's right-wing, populist, patriot, common sense, nationalist that might actually be a reform agent in the right-wing patriot movement. I think, unfortunately, that's the timeline now. We're that far away from it now. I think that's how far set back this administration has pushed us back. We're like 8-year reset zone now. But I would say that's the best case scenario. And this time, hopefully, with the younger generations and the people that have learned our lessons now, quite frankly, through Obama and Trump, we'll have better indicators or ideas of how to make sure if and when we get our candidate in there, we keep them on the straight and narrow to actually deliver on the campaign promises. And then, hey, who knows? Honestly, if we stopped spending trillions of dollars overseas, if we stopped with all the waste, the fraud, and the abuse, if we cut taxes down to the average American paying like 3 to 5% in taxes, I don't think Americans understand how rich we should be. I don't think Americans have any idea how rich and prosperous our country could be if we weren't spilling all of our treasure all over the world. We would have the best metropolitan, the best metroplexes. We'd have the best train stations. We'd have the best airports.
Our trains are amazing. What are you talking about? They go 45 miles per hour. That's the state of the art.
Speed, top speed.
Yeah. We can't do a maglev. We can't do a maglev train. We can't do the Boring Company trains here in Texas to have a hub in Austin that goes to Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston, because that would just make too much sense. No, I say that's my best case scenario. Unfortunately, this Trump administration set us back about 8 years, so it's going to take about 8 years to rebuild it. But that's what I think the best case scenario is. I think I want to envision it. I want to be positive about it. I do think it's possible. And I think it's just going to be the challenge is to get Americans to understand. And this is kind of what Doge was about. This is why the whole pulling off of Doge would have been so important. Americans don't understand. You don't have to pay 33% in taxes. Like, you don't. You don't have to. We don't need NATO. We don't need Israel. We don't need foreign aid to all these countries. Like, Social Security is a scam. Like, it's all a scam. Think about it. Like, it's like once Americans realize this, the whole game changes. So
I want to come in here. I want to come in here a little bit because you look at the 11 plus billion or 12 billion now, whatever it's up to.
I think it's 17. Dude.
17 billion that we spent on this conflict. Just imagine what that would do for your family, your community, the people at home. And they can say, oh, well, that's not that much money. It wouldn't actually do anything. We got to protect our interests overseas. We got to do it. Trump wanted $5 billion to build the wall. Okay, in 2018, Trump was all he was asking for was $5 billion. And I remember it. You remember, Owen. We're old enough and long enough in the tooth in the game to remember this. They treated Trump like he was evil for asking for $5 billion, acted like it would bankrupt the U.S. Treasury. And look at the trillions that we spent on to that point. I looked at the national debt at one point during that time period. It was like 18 trillion. Now it's like whatever it is.
We're going to be 40 trillion by the end of the year.
There you go.
My heart.
So me and you, and this is all making me think about a bit long-winded here, but I'm trying to get to my point. Me and you have been watching this for so long. I mean, I remember when you first came to the office, probably the first week that you were there, probably like 10, 11, or like however, 11, 12 years ago when this all was happening, I guess 10 to 11 years ago. And I remember being up with you at a GOP event in Dallas 6 years ago. Do you remember that? Went up there in the tank.
Was it a GOP event or was that an NRA event?
It was a GOP event. It was not an NRA event. And I remember going there with you, and there were like 20 speakers or whatever. I didn't.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, you spoke, but they had this person come up who was like ex-trans and is now just like, I'm gay and I don't want to go to war and I want low taxes. I don't want enmity between us. Like I'm a conservative. And they literally basically started throwing objects at that person. And while that's going on, in the background behind the truck, there are 40, 50, 60-year-old women twerking to Trump MAGA, Trump salsa music. Okay. And that was 2020. That was right before the election. We're going to win. We're going to be the victors. And I hopped on the PA system. I gave him a piece of my mind. My dad didn't like it. And I stopped working at InfoWars after that. We'll leave it at that. But it just, that time period, that 2020 sickness or 2019 sickness when COVID was, I don't think COVID had even happened. I'm not sure when this.
I feel like that might have been 2018 during the midterms is what I'm thinking.
Maybe I'm wrong. I want to say it was a little bit later than that. My point being the degenerate nature of whatever you want to call MAGA now. Like it slipped into something to where like I'd be ashamed to wear a MAGA hat, to be quite honest with you. And that's not because I'm ashamed of the message that we stood for, but the hat represents the total inversion, the hypocrisy, the lie. It's like you're putting on a lie and you're saying it's the truth. That's what I think of when I see that hat, because all that hat represents to me is bullshit now.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you're alone in that. I don't see MAGA hats anymore, by the way. I used to see them. I don't see them anywhere anymore. For whatever that means. I see the same amount of MAGA hats as I do Biden hats. If we're doing this, if we're keeping score here. Well, I'll say this, and I got to bounce.
No, you're good. Thank you.
This has been fun, but I'll say this in regards to what you just said. Here's what they never understood, and this is why it's kind of been so frustrating for the people that were there at the grassroots of MAGA and this movement to get Trump over the finish line and drag everyone. I mean, we were dragging everyone along with us. We climbed over barbed wire. We swam through, alligator-infested waters, and we drug everybody. We drug everybody through it to get to this point, and now here we are totally betrayed. I think, the people that you just talked about, and it's not even that they're bad people. They just don't understand. They don't understand what this meant. They don't understand what it meant. They don't understand what it represented. They don't understand the cost of it. So it was like once the battle was won, it was like once we cleared the barbed wire, once we got into the sun, now they're dancing and, waving the pom-poms and everything. They don't know the pain. They don't know. It's like any classic war movie where they talk about, the young guy that's never been to war and he's all excited. And then the old warrior gets in his face. He said, "You ever killed a man? You ever seen a man die?" He's like, "Wipe that smile off your face, boy. You don't know what you're getting into." And so it's kind of just like, hey, you guys have no idea what it cost to get us here. You guys came in after the pain, after the war was won, and you're just dancing in the sun.
We suffered. We suffered. And I know you did personally. And here's the thing. None of it was BS. We were all true believers in the administration, the promises of the administration, the victory of the administration. And I remember like when he won the second or third time, depending on what you believe, when he won, I was sitting there in the office and I was like, why am I not as happy as I thought I would be? Because when Trump won in 2016, it was like cloud nine heaven. It was like hell yeah, like we got the boy in there and he's gonna move fast and break things. But at the end of the day, when you come along to the 2024 election, when that victory came, it felt hollow to me, and I didn't realize why until now. And I guess that maybe be a little bit of gut instinct on my part, but this is where we're at, and people that labored so hard, worked so hard to get true change in American populism. I think that we're all just sitting here like asking what happened.
Yeah. Well, the good news is this movement didn't start with Trump, and it's certainly not going to end with Trump. He's probably set it back about 4 to 8 years, and we're going to have to lick our wounds and reorganize. But I don't think the desire that Americans have to break free of the swamp, the deep state, the corruption, all of it. I think it's still there. We're just rattled right now because our champion ended up drawing the sword on us, and so cult is looking at us too. So
we gave him the blade and then he turned it on us. That's the perfect metaphor. I've tried to do a lot of analogies. I like my Emperor's New Clothes one. That is the truth. We empowered a champion, trial by combat, us versus the globalist. And Trump came up and said, "Hey, I will be your champion. I will fight the monster for you." And we gave him the blade, the energy, the sword of the spirit of the American people and what we wanted, a positive change. And he took all of that power and rammed it through our gut.
Yeah. And now the people that have the sword are aiming it at us.
Yes.
I'm ready to give that rim job, sir.
Yeah.
Send me to the front lines.
Operation Bibi Netanyahu.
Send me to the front lines right now. I'm ready for my country.
That's right. We all got to kiss ass, man. That's what we're being told as citizens. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, and you're based,
Yeah.
super based. I've never had the pleasure of having a conversation with you, but I definitely enjoyed this one significantly. So
I'm sure we will talk again soon, guys. And I'm actually glad the way today went. It was actually good. When I was looking at my schedule, I was like, you know what? It'll be good for me to shoot that video, sit on the sidelines for my show, and then actually just do your show where I don't have to present content. I can just talk. And so it was a lot better for me today.
Yeah,
we're chill. We're
super chill.
Awesome.
Well,
super chill for now, Rex. For now. Until we do a great reveal someday soon.
Yeah, we got some stuff we're working on, but we'll keep that to the future. We hope to have you on again soon. Thank you so much, Owen. Everyone's here for you anyway. Where can they find you, though?
Yeah, on X, where you guys picked up the feed, obviously, Owen Shroyer 1776. Really trying to build the YouTube channel right now. Owen Report on YouTube, and then Rumble, in case everyone else takes us off. I think Rumble's pretty safe. Rumble.com/Owen. The Owen Report live 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays, Central.
Powerful.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you. Definitely come on again. Don't be a stranger.
Please.
You got it, guys. You got it. You got a line to me. Godspeed. God bless.
All right.
Thank you, Owen.